Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Aces53 with Ed Parcaut and myself. So since today is a Tuesday, it'll just be Ed and I, because as you know, on Thursdays, we bring on a guest we call the Joker, which is someone with unique skill or talent that we think you guys could benefit from. How you doing today, Ed?
I'm doing good. Saw a lot of us know Steve Sims, and he's going through his stuff, and reach out to him, everybody, and give him a DM and just say, hey, he did a whole thing about making sure that you get checked for your health.
Right.
Which is something I've been doing forever because medical field and everything else. Plus, my dad died of hairy cell leukemia, which was a leukemia from Agent Orange.
Ooh.
And I don't know if he had me before or after that. You know what I mean? When he got it.
Yeah.
So I get checked for high white blood cell counts all the time because that's the first sign that you have cancer.
So, all right. That's an interesting kind of route we're going down. I talked to a guy that he's same age as me, just turned 50. And he had good blood results. So he's getting his blood regularly tested and he wanted to pay for a test. And the doctor's like, well, it's not covered by insurance. It's called an FFR scan, FFR CT scan. And even though all of his blood work looked good, blood pressure, cholesterol, all that, 74% blockage in the widowmaker part of his heart. And had he not gone with his gut and done some of his own education on what tests he wanted the doctors to give, he could have died at any time.
Right. And that's one thing about AI coming out on medical stuff will make a huge difference.
Yeah. When we were talking about this at the party when I went and picked up my kid, we're taught go to the doctor when it's break fix. Now, granted, okay, we're not medical professionals, anything of that nature. But what happened for me 15 years ago is I went and visited a coworker, lived in Arizona. He had a naturopathic doctor. I'd never even heard of that before. I'm like, I don't know what that is. But it went in, did a full blood panel. The doctor spent an hour and a half with me. That's the most time a doctor's ever spent. And since then, I get my blood work checked, pretty routinely. Probably that's because I'm on testosterone and other stuff. But it's just amazing me how many people, we take in our car to get the oil changed, but people won't invest in looking at their new stuff. And like I said, this kind of didn't even know we were going to go down this path today, but
I wasn't planning on going down this path. I just saw his thing yesterday, and I'm like, and he was about how people went through certain cancers and didn't tell anybody. Felt guilty. It's like, no, you need to go get he's right. And you need to go get your stuff checked constantly.
Absolutely.
And there's actually now, Marcia sent it to me a month or two ago about it's a $500 test where it tests everything, and which normally would be thousands and thousands of dollars, but these doctors have set up this whole, it's like a community to be part of to do all these different tests. So.
Well, and the thing is, there's so many people, like, for example, Eric Sims, he does, you've met him through the speakeasy.
I said, I know who he is.
I thought you said who. So he does blood work for people too. Like there's a test that he can do and he can review the information. I know. Well, I was gonna say he can't write prescriptions, but it's still good to get a second look at your levels on everything.
That's the whole thing. He's a chiropractor.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I go to them constantly because of my back and everything else. Yeah.
But but you're right. So yeah, if you can find the name of that test or whatever, pull it up. I'd love to hear what that one is. But a good book on the subject is Life Force. Tony Robbins came out with that one probably like a year or two ago. And then that covers so much information, stem cells, what else is out there, what tests you could be doing. We live in a day and age, if you're not following like a Gary Brecka or some other, what's the guy who always wears black, Huberman? Yeah. Like if you're not following Andrew Huberman, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now.
Anyway, the Huberman podcast.
Right.
And then everybody he's brought on there who's now have their own podcast, they're all really good that you should be listening to.
Yeah. And that's just it. Self-educate. That's the whole thing is your number one job is your health. Because if you don't have that, it's pretty much everything else is a waste. But we're not taught that. We're taught, just suck it up, rub some dirt on it until things get bad. But it is very affordable now. People need to take a look and go, what can I proactively do? Even if you don't have health insurance, a couple $100, you can go do all kinds of scans that if you pay cash, it's like 1/10 of the cost of if it goes through insurance.
Oh, and also you get it's like everything in life. If you pay cash, you get front end line services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
if you do a pool,
yeah,
and you have your own money and you run and you do your own contracting on it and you pay the people who come out in cash, they come to you first because every other pool person that's doing it, they get paid later from.
That's just it.
everybody gets the same from the same gun night company. The people wrapping the stuff is a totally different, you know what I mean? That's making the, yeah. So anyway, move on. But back to health is so important. A lot of times we put health off while we're working for other things. We'll get to it later, but most of the time we're very unhealthy with what we're doing. I was freaking heavy in the past few years because of everything I was doing. It wasn't because I was stressed and everything else. It was because I was having a good time and I was eating, drinking, everything. And finally, I'm done 58 pounds now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's funny because people go, how did you do it? And we go, Ozempic. And they go, oh, Ozempic. Oh my God. No, okay. I'm not even a year into this. My first 4 months, I was down 30 some pounds, which is unheard of. Most people don't lose it that fast.
Right.
My goal was just to use it to do one thing, curb my appetite, and I will do everything else. Yeah, that's the difference. A lot of people do it just in spite of all the stuff they keep doing, they lose weight. No, my goal was to. And then what happened is I hit a plateau because my doctor's like, because Kaiser just changed the whole system that if you don't have a 40 BMI, you don't get on 40. Yeah. You're
okay.
So I'm like, he didn't have me come in for months because he's like, I don't want them to know your BMI because this is before they made this change.
Right.
And so I'm at the point where I'm not even, what am I in? It's 8 months now. That I'm at the point where they're going to kick me off of it, even though, and I'm already almost 60, the whole 20% of what you're supposed to lose after a year.
Yeah.
No, I already lost it in the first 6 months.
Awesome.
Yeah. But and like I said, I plateaued because I was only on half the medicine instead of the full because I didn't want to take the risk in case I had some issues.
Right.
And when I went up from half of what the number was to the full amount that you can get, indigestion, everything else. So what I'm getting at bottom line is I don't care how you lose the weight to lose the weight because losing the weight itself is where the problem is. The weight is the problem. Well, and it's not about you, Brian.
Yeah, I was like talking to somebody earlier today, and it takes for a long time for you to pack it on, right? So if there's a way for you to shortcut losing it, but then you have to make that lifestyle change that goes along with it as well.
It's so much more fun to pack it on than it is to take off. I can eat, drink, and do everything, and it took years for me to get as heavy as I did.
Right.
But I mean, there's many times, I've lost weight over the time you've known me but I put it right back on because it wasn't like a huge priority. Well, now it was a huge priority to make changes because I am getting older and I don't want to carry that weight anymore. Plus it's just so much harder on my knees and everything else. So,
and what's ironic is, like I said, we weren't planning on talking about this today. This is at the point where most people have already given up on their resolutions, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna, new year, new me. I'm going to go to the gym, and we're in week 2 and a lot of people have already fallen off. So now maybe it's a good time. Yes, there's that January 1st motivation that people all have, but why not go to a doctor or rejoin a different gym now? Because then everybody's excuse is, well, the gym was too packed. Well, they're not going to be now.
Well, they're still packed now for the first 30 to 60 days.
Right.
I don't do New Year's resolutions. I don't do those.
Yeah.
I don't do goals like that. This is what I have my task bar, what I need to get done and what my plan is. And I have it there because, Marsha wants to have these huge planning sessions. Like she sent me these things of these people, like they have the TVs and they get together and the husband and wife plan the year and the goals that they did last year and everything. That's not me. Yeah. I just want to build a good business, make a good amount of money and retire. That's my plan. I mean, if she wasn't around to tell us to go on vacation, I wouldn't go on vacation.
Yeah,
it's not. I enjoy what I do.
Right, and that's the big difference.
The game, Alex Ramosi, and he was talking about one of the guys says someone was asking, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" He goes, "I want to work." Why do you want to work? Because he loves what he does. He wants to work, and a lot of people enjoy what they do and what they do as a job, and that is what they enjoy the most. And that's whether that's good or bad, but that's who they are. And you can't change people. So don't try to change people.
Well, his whole thing was he told everybody no for 2 years. He didn't do anything.
And he stayed at home when she and his wife went out and did stuff.
Yeah.
He actually one year he tried to spend all the money he made and he just got bored after a while because he couldn't do it.
Yeah. I just ran across his book because I didn't finish the second one that he did. But what was $100 million offers and $100 million sales?
Yeah, something like that. Then there's another one he's doing.
Yeah.
He went to school to be a writer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you listen, so here's the best thing: just get the game on your Audible or whatever you listen to podcasts, and just start where he's at, and let it just keep going back and back.
Is the game his podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, because when you said the game, there's a book written by Neil Strauss called The Game, and it threw me off for a minute. So,
no, it used to be called something else, and then when he really got into what he does now, that he changed it to The Game. And so that's why I didn't know it. And he talks about how he lost it twice.
Yeah.
And, and that's the thing is you have to lose it twice. You have to lose it in order to get it back. I did a podcast the other day on a lady, and she was telling me how she got it. She's from, where's she from? I want to say Indonesia, but it's not. Anyway, it's like, I forget, it's someplace. Anyway, they have the most unicorns anywhere. And that's somebody who $1 billion, whatever, with the tech companies.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to tell us after we're done.
Yeah.
But what she was saying is, where was I going with this?
Him losing all his stuff.
Oh yeah. So she got in early in this company, and they kept promoting her, and she had stock options. So she's done pretty well, and she's not that old. And now she's trying to figure out what to do. She's in Colorado, married to a vet and everything. And she's like, and I'm just thinking, ooh, you haven't lost anything yet. Because if it's you're not risking, and that's like Alex says, I risked it to lose it because I've lost it before. I know I can get it back, but a lot of people won't do the push to risk it and learn from that. And you just like this is like twice now with what happened to me in this industry, which has taught me to not necessarily get the fuck out of this industry, but do so many other things that towards what you can do. Like definitely separate out find that perfect client and separate out your messages to them.
Right.
And I'm amazed how many people's already been on my 2 websites that I redid. One never had any information. So I'm going to talk. So good. I just was checking to see if WordPress or High Level was better. Right. And some people are like, well, the SEO on WordPress is so much better. But then other people like, the damn plugins are such a nightmare on there and everything else. But Go High Level loads so fast. It is ridiculous. And what's the most important thing of anything is the speed on mobile.
Right.
And again, depends on your business. A lot of people have 80% of the people see their stuff on mobile. Well, guess what? You want it fast as possible so that they get it and get to where it needs to be.
Right.
Less is more.
What's that? Less
is more. You don't need to put
Bill
so
Walsh
much stuff on there.
Last week, and I think he said if it takes more than 3 clicks for your customers to buy from you or to get to you, you're done.
Yeah. Well, it's mine. You can hit boom right to a phone call to me. One boom right to the app, the fill out, and then the next thing will be a calendar to set up the appointment after they submit their stuff, so they can know exactly when their appointment is. Because that was one of the things that a lot of these people on High Level who sets up things for customers, they set up this whole they apply and they get this email that says who applied and call them and all this stuff. And they're like, why are you doing that to your people? Set up a calendar link right after they sign up so they can sign up and set up their appointment. So then they can just show up for their appointment and they can be there for that.
Right.
Or do webinars once a month. That is huge for a lot of people. And a lot of people go, well, they do one every other week. Well, I'm going to do one at least 2 or 3 times a month, but they're going to be different ones.
Yeah. There's one group I follow, they've been doing one almost every 2 weeks. And obviously people are signing up for it. And it's $1,000 program that they have. I was on one the other day that her and her husband do one every couple months, but they had a higher ticket package, and 20 or 30 people signed up, on that webinar. And you and I were talking about this before we hit record. Dean Gracioso and some of the other people just did a big push this weekend, and they were talking about YouTube. Is they still think with Google owning it and everything else that it's still an untapped market where, once people find you, they stick with you there.
Yeah. Because there's so many social medias, but the most important thing, TikTok is going to get sold,
right?
But it won't matter, but it's going to still grow. There's still going to be people on there, and that could be the only thing now that if it actually gets sold to an American company, or some investors, then people won't be worried about it being on their phone anymore.
Right.
But YouTube's been around so long and it's so easy to search stuff. But I don't even use Google to search anymore.
Oh
I
no,
use ChatGPT.
exactly. And that's one of the things we need to get Cosmo and talk about. Was it AIO? So AI optimization.
But that's instead of SEO.
Yeah,
Basically. Yeah. I think that's just a play on words right now.
it is, but it's true. I mean, it's crazy for people. I just showed Janine the other day about like go and ask the question, why should I hire Janine Driver? And she was amazed with what it came back with. And that's we were talking about this with somebody else. I was at a networking event, and you're right. It used to be if you went to Google, you said, "Oh, Google, now I have to go to this web page and this web page and this web page." And now with AI, it just gives it all to you at one thing. So it's just crazy.
Well, that's all right. So, one of the most important things I've been pushing with helping the brave is for vets to go get your benefits and get your disability through the VA, because that is just amazing how much money you can get by just going back and getting 200 points, which is not difficult to do to get to 100%. But it was so difficult and such a pain that people didn't go back. There's a 1.5 million veterans in California, and probably only 20% of them have a disability that they through the VA, and most of them are like less than 60%. And,
Wow.
and actually of that, it's 10 and 20% is the number that most people are at, because the VA was like, we're not going to give you anything. Yeah, we're going to get anything. You didn't prove it to us like they want you to, because they didn't tell you what the secret sauce was. Well, I've kind of learned that now with what I'm going through and what I'm going through. And so I use ChatGPT to find out, all right, I want to know, how is this a market or not? Right. How do you figure out if your market you want to be in is the right market? You have to do market research, and you have to find out how big is this market. So I asked it to find out how many veterans are in all the different states, and how many, and it broke it down by state. How many is in each state? Like California is 1.5 million, Texas is about the same, Florida is close to the same. And then it broke down the rest of the states, how many was each one of them. And then I said, okay, well, then I want to know how many active duty members are in, and how many active duty members get out of the service each year. It's 200,000. I mean, I got all my numbers, everything I wanted to do within, and I say 5 minutes because I kept thinking, what more can I ask? What am I asking? How am I? Someone getting this? You can use this. I had it write my business plan, my marketing plan, my hierarchy of my company, how it should be, how everything else should be, all the way through. And this is all stuff that would take weeks and months before.
Right. Well, we used to have to, I mean, you can go back before, you used to have to go to a physical library and get books and make, scan copies of pages. Then you had Google and everything, but you still had to go to all these disjointed locations. And now everything's brought back together. And you look at, like we were talking about, Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. So they have that whole thing, and they've got what they call GG, which is an AI that's downloaded with all of Tony Robbins' books and all of Dean's books. So it's supposedly like picking their brains. And that's where I'm talking about the future of everything is everyone will have their own custom GPT type thing where it'll be pick Ed's brain, and customers will have access to you to a degree 24 hours a day as part of your services.
It'll just be easier to find out information and how to get to stuff. It's like what we give away for free.
Yep.
Well, is what ChatGPT will do for us.
Right.
It's going to give it all away for free. And then people will find you. Well, the question will be, are you worth the money?
I saw a quote today. The NVIDIA CEO said the same thing we've been saying. You may not lose your job to AI, but you will definitely lose your job to someone who's using AI.
Yeah. So think about what I just did. I just took out. So if in the 80s and 90s, I'd have to go, like you said, to some library and see if somebody even came up with these numbers.
Right.
That's the problem. Where now they're out there. And okay, another thing I did, I create all these GPTs. Well,
right.
I do I help businesses, and I use bank statement loans to help people buy properties that own a business, and we use their bank statements. And normally I have to go through and add up not add up the deposits, but go through and see if there's anything that's not a deposit, but a transfer. And what's that bottom line number for the last 24 months? I'm like, I wonder if I can do this in ChatGPT. You can only upload 6 statements at a time unless I go with the Pro. Did you know they have a new version of ChatGPT Pro?
No.
$200 a month.
Really?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's like, it's to the next level. Well, on the $20 a month, you can only upload 3 PDFs at a time. So I told it what I wanted to do. Then I kept uploading and put it all together, added them up for me. I told it to check to see if there was any different types of deposits and all this other stuff. What would normally have taken me at least 2 hours took me 5 minutes to figure out what these people income was.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna create a GPT and actually sell that one, because there's a lot of people who do bank statement stuff and they don't know how, and it will create and print out your printout for you. However, did you know ChatGPT makes math mistakes?
No. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
Because I told it to verify its numbers. Oh, I'm sorry. I was off on this one by $20,000.
What did I see? Hold on. I was in ChatGPT the other day, and what did they put at the bottom? Oh, here it is. ChatGPT can make mistakes, so check important information.
Yeah, there was. Remember, I told you I had it do my continuing education. I tell you that. So I had to do continuing education for what I do, and I don't even listen to the stuff. I just take the test.
Yeah.
My final, I'm like, I wonder if I can get. Well, first of all, I couldn't do it on a computer because it has all the protections on, but it's not supported on tablets. So I pulled up my tablet, I highlighted all the questions, dropped it into ChatGPT, and I said, answer these questions. And so I did it all, and it missed one.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to, because I'm like, now someone's going to get me for not doing my continuing education. But I did do it. I just wanted to see if it could answer them right.
Right.
I'd already done it. I just wanted to see if it could answer.
You were curious afterwards.
Well, I want to know. Yeah, because I'm like, wow, how to
post the other day. Knowledge isn't power anymore, because now everyone has access to knowledge. Now, of course, you have to understand what you get, but the amount of information that's out there at everybody's literally at your fingertips now is people can't hoard information like they did before. That's what used to justify salaries, positions, everything. That's no longer the case.
All right. So you know what? So language is power.
Right. And people
knowledge,
skills.
The language power, because you need to know how to ask it the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And when it goes to the newer version 5.0 or whatever, and it's going to be talking to it.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for people with accents.
So you're saying Forrest Gump would not be a billionaire if he was using ChatGPT?
I didn't say that. It's just I feel sorry because it might take a while for it to understand your dialect.
Yeah. So it won't speak redneck?
I don't know. It might. There might be, you might be able to get that version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just like, again, back to if you're building a business, you want to know what the market size is and everything about that business, if it makes sense that market's going to be there. Because someone was telling me, with the current market, my veteran thing is going down. Mm-hmm. Yes and no. But for the numbers that are out there and the amount of people who are currently veterans who need help and only in the last 5 years has that increased amount of people who've actually got their benefits.
Wow.
Yeah. So and I'm like, wow. So there's a lot of business to be made out there to help veterans. And I don't mean that wrong, but because the people I'm going through right now, I'm trying to send them more.
Yeah.
They can't handle it. And they don't understand how to automate and do certain things where I know how to do it. And another guy know how to do it. And another guy know how to do it. And we're all going to do this. And this will be one of those things that you do with partners. That they talk about, like Alex Hormozy and everybody else says, go into other avenues, but don't be the CEO of it. Just be part of it.
Yeah.
If you are a CEO of 7 different companies and they're all making $1 million, couldn't you be the CEO of a $20 million company then?
Mm-hmm.
One of them. And but you need to have access to other markets, other sand pits, all over. What I call it.
Daniel Priestley wrote a book, I think it's like 2012, called KPI, Key Person of Influence. And he predicted that people would step away from traditional 9-to-5 jobs and people would come together for causes, come together, work on projects, and then disband again. And that we wouldn't see corporations like we do. And it's becoming more and more true. Companies, that last year, 2024, was the great unbossing, where all these safe middle management jobs were slowly eliminated from all these companies, and now AI and automation. I just read the other day that in 2025, 52% of the world's jobs will be displaced by AI. And then they're predicting just in the US alone, over the next decade or two, 36 million jobs will be replaced by AI and automation.
Well, the next question is how many are created because of it?
Well, that's the question. There's not going to be that many, right? If it's doing the work.
Well, but next level jobs,
right.
But then I don't know if you saw that was that CES. They had a female robot who was AI, who could learn about you and learn your business, and actually could be at the shows, talk about the products, talk about the stuff, learn everything about it. Did you see that?
I didn't, but CES was last week in Vegas, so that's probably true. I just talked to somebody who went, and they said there was all kinds of things like TVs that are like you unfold, like they're like they roll up like a rug, and you just take it out. He said there were transparent TVs that you can put up on a wall that will be clear until you want to watch something on it. So yeah.
Yeah, well, not only that, a lot of the new TVs now all are going to have art, so you can put a frame around them.
Yeah.
And have art instead of the TV, which those were really expensive TVs now, but they're automatically. So I'm just saying there's so much coming that we have no idea to a certain point. And that just means we'll have more time to do more important things.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm at the point where I have to get a VA to do my stuff because I'm getting so much busier going forward. And we're not even in a good market.
Yeah.
I told you before, I said, these are my perfect clients. I'm focusing on them. And that is huge difference for doing that. But so one of the things I want to talk, so I know we brought up ChatGPT, or I guess I did.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this thing and I'm like, I wonder what to call this thing, or if I could use my Helping the Brave Helping the Brave. And I told it I had a podcast, blah blah, and it was like, okay, well, there's an easy way to transition into this. And it was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, oh my God, it's like me talking to myself and telling me what I should do, because it's like the way that it said, because of how I've been doing it for the last 3 years, that one of the things I came across, and this is 2 weeks ago, I had this epiphany going, disability benefits for vets is huge, and it will change their life. And we need to get more into this and helping more of them. Right. And then I'm like, okay, well, then it was telling me how I could say that from the podcast, I learned this, which I did, and how to utilize the Helping the Brave as this program, and then keeping the podcast, talking more about stuff. I'm like, it's amazing how it can tie everything together for you that you don't see. Right. And again, it's not like it's lying to you on this stuff, because it makes really good sense.
Yeah. Well, if you go back to Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, they talked about having your mastermind, that you literally have a digital one now, because it can do all these different forms and functions for you and be part of your team at the exact same time. It's just all you have to do is, like you said, ask the right question, and it applies to anything. So I hope nobody listening has yet to play with it. You just hope that they do it more.
Just go do something else.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I know we kind of got off a tangent with health, everything else today. We all over the board, but what I'm trying to get at is, when you're trying to do something, you have somebody to help you now, other than hiring a consultant who's only as smart as they asking ChatGPT themselves.
Right. Well, what was it? A year and a half ago, prompt engineers were making $350 plus.
Yeah.
And they just learned to ask it questions.
Prompt but the whole prompt thing is supposed to going away to something else, because that was when I was on Cosim's pod. They were doing a thing for Driven, and they talked about how Barry Belcher he had said that prompt is going away. This was like earlier in the year, and I was like, I'm not in Driven, so I wouldn't have known that.
Right.
But it works really well right now. So
yeah.
I mean, and again, depending on how you do it, because I interviewed a company and they wanted to help me put this stuff together into an app. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to spend that money, because it's going to change so much. I feel the AI right now, with the way it's going, and ChatGPT is just like .com back in the 90s.
Yep.
It is huge, and people are starting to lose money right now on different companies. They're not making the money they thought they'd be making with AI.
Well, it's interesting. Google just did another push for their version. What is it? Claude?
Everybody's pushing their version right now. Right. Everybody.
Yeah. I saw Microsoft.
I need to find the better one for logos. Because chat does great on phone, but when you're doing your different things, but it's, again, that alone, I mean, I've created my Helping the Brave, not Helping the Brave. I'm sorry. I've created my Leaning for Living new logo, the Lone Squad logo, which everybody's like, wow, that's amazing. And that was an accident.
Just got to get in and play with it.
And then my book covers, And then I found out, so I interviewed a guy, I know we talked about last week, but on Amazon, when you upload your cover, it's the full cover. It's like the whole thing across. Then you put the words on top of it. So the new ones I'm making, I just tell it, don't put any words on it.
Gotcha. And you do that the second half. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, because you actually put it in, once you upload your graphic through the, I guess, the book cover maker or whatever, then you go ahead and put the words on it while you're there. I've not done it yet, so that's my plan, because I want to do my my first one I'm going to upload is the divorce one. That's going to be this next week.
There you go.
What to do with real estate going through divorce. That's not the name of it, but it's close to that.
Yeah. Very cool.
And also I don't know if people know this, but maybe we can do another show on this, but I can get somebody else to come in. But the little codes that you need for your books, right? You can use Amazon's for free, or you can get 10 for $300 yourself.
Oh, nice.
And that way, if you take it off of Amazon, it's still your book and you can put it elsewhere. You can still put it elsewhere through Amazon, but like I did they give me one, or I buy one? I think I bought. I don't remember. I think I just used Amazon one on my current book. But you can buy 10 for $300. Well, you might as well spend $300, buy 10. They're yours going forward. It just depends on what your plan is.
Oh, interesting.
There's so much to know.
There is. Well, that's the whole. It used to be like we talked about. You'd have to go and buy, or not buy. You'd have to go and hire all these different people to do different things. And now so much information's out there. And like to your point, like Jim Edwards is always putting out information about books and how to publish your own book and doing like 3 or 4 day challenges. The information's out there. It's just a matter of who's going to do it. And I will say I think it's Jim. Let me look and see. What I like is he puts work time into when you're, he's actually going through. He's like, all right, now we're taking 45 minutes. You need to go out and actually do what I just taught you. And
now, are you paying for that, or is that something you had?
No, something that he does free ones all the time. Yeah, Jim Edwards. So he's on LinkedIn. He's one of the original funnel.
I know who he is. I just didn't know. I've not worked on his stuff.
Oh, follow him on LinkedIn. I mean, any of his social media, but he goes live a few times a week, and it's always interesting information. So obviously, like he teaches hooks and things like that, since that's what he was known for as a copywriter. But he does books, everything else, and he just shows everybody what he does.
And the question I got was, is it going to get to a point where books are not important anymore?
I think people, a few things. One, people want to have the title of author, so they'll always be published. Number two, some like to have their library, and some people like to hold a book. But with Audible coming in and other things, it's like anything else. I buy books, but having the time to sit and read one,
I'm just talking in general.
In general? Oh yeah, there'll always be books.
People, because they're like, did you do this book? No, I ChatGPT'd it. And Alex Rosie was saying, like, he writes his books, but then he edits them like for 4 hours, and then he re-edits them and re-edits them.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he writes so many pages and all that. Well, he is a writer. I'm not a writer. I'm a talker.
Right.
And again, I think there's a lot of different companies out there who can help you do your Audible stuff.
Right.
Or you can just do it yourself. But I was talking to a guy, and they went through this one company. I'll tell you afterwards. And that guy he sits on there on almost like on StreamYard. It's the other one. And he just like, okay, can you re-say that phase again? Because it seemed like you were dropping off at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to make sure when you're doing it, you're doing well. But I prefer the ones that are not just reading the book, but adding other stuff in there. Like David Goggins was a little too much adding stuff in there, but if you could take that down a notch, it's exactly what I like.
Gary V's good about adding in additional content and thoughts when he's reading his books.
Well, you need to, like, this is what I wrote, and then this is the update to it. Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Because then you can sell the book and also sell the Audible, because there's a totally different version.
And again, I like the idea of Audible, because if it's not a picturesque book that you need to see pictures in it, but because you can take it anywhere. You want to listen to it on the plane, you want to pick up where you left off. Like if I go and walk on the trail here, I listen to an Audible book. I was listening to one while I was driving around earlier today. And I love physical books, but just having the time to sit and do it is a little more sparse than when you're out running errands.
Yeah, I think they need to start sponsoring our show as much as we keep saying their name.
Audible. Yeah. So, all right.
Throw me an Audible.
Yeah. You ready to get out of here for today?
All right. Yes, let's get out of here. Again, thanks for listening to us ramble today about many different things. We talked all over the place, but I hope we got something out of it. Again, Brian, thank you so much for being here. I want to appreciate you for being here, and we'll be back here on Thursday, and hopefully we'll have a joker. It's a surprise if we do or don't. we'll let you know on Thursday. All right, make it a great day. Thanks for being here.